For all of us, you are most powerfully positioned to serve the person you once were.
Your past self.
The fastest way to find somebody's purpose is to look at their pain.
Wow.
What challenges have you conquered? What setbacks have you survived? What tragedies have you triumphed over? The goal is to find your uniqueness and exploit it in the service of others.
That's good.
From a spiritual perspective, we would say that is finding God's divine design of your identity, living into the thing that He created you to be so that you can do the thing that only you can do. And if you do that over and over and over, eventually you break through the wall. And once you're on the other side of the wall, you can do just about anything.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Matthew West Podcast. I'm your host, Matthew West, and as always, I really hope you like it. Thanks so much for joining me, man. I'm so excited about today's show. But before we dive in with today's guest, there's some exciting things happening, my friends, and I know that you're going, what is it? Please tell me. Well, there's three things on my mind that I want to make sure that you know about. Number one, we just announced and just went on sale for our 2026, are you ready? Drum roll. Alaskan cruise. Oh my goodness. Together, we're going to sail the seas. We're going to see glaciers. We're going to see whales. We're going to see all the other things that Alaska has. It's the most beautifully breathtaking sightseeing vacation. We're going to be worshiping at sea. We're going to be having special speakers, artists. I'm going to be announcing some stuff very soon. But you need to find out about this. And passengers, it's pretty limited. And so tickets are going to go fast. Cabins are going to go fast. But I want to make sure that you know about this. My podcast listening audience. The Alaskan Cruise 2026, July 12th through the 19th, says Sarah from my team. And where can they go to find out about that? MatthewWest.com, the Alaskan Cruise. Number two, every Christmas, we invite a very select amount of people to come and join us for a special Christmas weekend. Come Home for Christmas, our annual weekend in Franklin, Tennessee. It is magical, and tickets for that have gone incredibly fast. There are still some tickets available, but if you're looking for a Christmas gift, if you're looking for a little Christmas getaway, come and join us. Special Christmas concerts, Christmas dinner, Christmas tree lighting, carols. It is, if you want to get in the Christmas spirit, come and hang with the West family in Franklin, Tennessee. Again, those tickets, most of them have been sold out, but if you go to MatthewWest.com, you can still snag your spot while they're available. Come Home for Christmas, MatthewWest.com. And the third thing that I wanted to tell you about, what was it now? Let me see. What was it? Oh my goodness. The Don't Stop Praying Fall Tour. Tickets are on sale now, MatthewWest.com. So if you can't come and see me in Alaska, if you can't come and see me in Franklin, Tennessee, chances are we're coming to a city near you. MatthewWest.com. Don't Stop Praying. Tickets are available now. Okay, let's dive into the show today. Enough for the public service announcements. My guest today is a good friend of mine. He's a New York Times best-selling author. He's an inspirational speaker. He's one of the world's best public speakers. Literally. He literally won that award. But this episode is really cool because this podcast is really all about helping you remember that your life is a story and it's a story worth telling. And he has the special gift of really helping people pinpoint and locate the uniqueness in their story. In other words, he's a storyteller helping other people learn how to tell their story, which is right up my alley. He's got a brand new book out. We're going to talk about all that. Let's go to the Story House with Rory Vaden. Rory, thanks for joining me. Welcome to the Story House.
Thanks, brother. It's good to be here.
Now, I was telling you before we started recording, and we've kind of known each other already, but so you kind of knew what I was all about, and I've gotten to know what you're all about. And, you know, the whole podcast that I do and the music that I make, it's all about the power of story and the story that God's writing with each one of our lives. And so one of my big hopeful takeaways when people listen to the podcast or watch the podcast or listen to my music or whatever is that they walk away thinking about their life as a story and the empowerment of that message of going, hey, and it's a story worth telling because God has you here on this earth for a reason. So when I was thinking about having you on the show, and I was super excited to have you to talk about your new book, and really all that you're about. I'm like, this is a guy, everything I know about what you do with your business, Brand Builders, and the books that you write, the best-selling books that you write, is like, you're a guy who is uniquely equipped to help people learn how to craft their story, find the uniqueness of their story, and then share their story with the world, helping people kind of find their why and build the messaging around that. So I'm curious to start with you, like, how did that come about for you to have this vision and this passion to help people learn how to tell their story to the world?
Yeah, so for me, I knew I would never stand on stage and sing a song because I have zero musical talent. Right. But I had the dream very early to be a speaker. And, that God put that on my heart from the time that I was little. I was actually in 6th grade at PMS, Platt Middle School. True story. I went to PMS.
PMS, the school.
and they had a speaker come in, and this guy told a story about how he got into drugs, and then he started selling drugs, and he made all these bad choices, and his brother got murdered, and he went to jail, and he made all these horrible choices. But he told this story about how if he would have made good choices early on, he would have had a different life.
Wow.
But he was actually really funny, even though it was heavy. It was inspiring. And I thought, man, I wonder how you get to be this guy that's telling, inspiring all these people. And then when I was in high school, I was on student council, and we hired a speaker to come in, and we had like the budget. And I remember we paid this guy $1,000, and that blew my mind. I was like, you gotta be kidding. This guy got $1,000 to like hold a microphone and like tell some stories and some jokes. And I was like, I don't care what my guidance counselor says. This is the career for me.
Really?
Like, I was sold. And so my dream was to be a speaker. And early in my journey, I stumbled across this guy named Larry Winget, who told me the single best piece of personal branding advice still to this day I've ever heard. And the moment that I heard this, like in the very first instant, I knew he was right. And here's what he said. He said, the goal is to find your uniqueness and exploit it in the service of others.
That's good.
Find your uniqueness and exploit it in the service of others. And so that I knew, I was like, that's what I need to try to do. And so I entered this contest called the World Championship of Public Speaking. I came in second in the world out of like 25,000 contestants. My wife and so I met a woman named AJ.
Yeah.
We started our first business together when we were in our early 20s. We had another friend that we started it with. We grew that company to 8 figures. We had 200 team members. We had 5,000 clients. And then on May 4th, 2018, so I left this part out of the story. So a year into that company, AJ and I started dating.
Okay.
And then about 2 years after that, we got married. And then fast forward to May 4th, 2018, we walk into what we thought was a routine like financial meeting. And they said to her, they asked me to leave. And then they told her, they said, today will be your last day. Your services are no longer needed. Wow. And so she got fired.
After you had grown this whole thing.
We started the company from scratch.
Unbelievable.
But we had basically what was kind of like the equivalent of investors.
Yeah.
And, on paper, they owned the business. They were the business, and we were really employees, even though we were the founders.
They had that control.
They did.
Wow.
And so, so they fired her and a couple other female executives at the same time. And I resigned. And they thought I would stay. They asked me to stay. And I was like,
what?
I'm out of here. I'm going with these 3 women. And I don't know. We don't have any plan. We have no idea. But basically what happened, Matthew, was we had a newborn. We had like a newborn baby, a brand new house. And our incomes went to 0 overnight.
Ooh.
On paper, the company owned all of our IP, so our social media, our podcast, our database that I'd been building.
Yeah, so you couldn't leave with any of that.
We had nothing.
Yeah.
We had nothing. And so in one moment, it was all gone. And that was a sales training company, was what we had built this company. And we also, had agreed to not create a competing business, so we couldn't do that business. And not kidding, like almost to the day that happened, we got a call from a good friend of ours, a gentleman named Lewis Howes. And Lewis had started a podcast called The School of Greatness about 5 years earlier. And when my first book, Take the Stairs, hit the New York Times bestseller list when I was 29. So I was on this podcast for this up-and-coming podcaster named Lewis. And Lewis and I are the same age. And so what had happened was I told him back on this show, this is like 2014, 2015, I said, buddy, you should write a book one day. And he's like, oh, I'm working on it. And I said, oh, let me tell you, like, here's everything that we learned. And here's how, as a no-name, first-time author with no money and like no fame or anything, here's how we pulled this off.
Right.
And so we became friends, and then we lost touch. And within days of when AJ was fired, Lewis called us out of the blue. And he said, I don't know why, but I feel like I'm supposed to call you guys because I need help. And my business has grown. His podcast had grown. When I was on the show, it had like 8 million downloads. And then this fast forward a few years later, he had about 30 million downloads.
Holy cow.
So he was growing, but he said, I'm spread thin. I'm stressed. I'm overwhelmed. I'm making a lot of money, but I'm not keeping it. Like I have no time. And he said, is there any chance you guys have time available that I could borrow your brain, that you would lend your brain to my business? And it was like, well, calendar's wide open.
We happen to be free.
And so Lewis came over to our house and sat in our basement because we didn't have an office. We didn't have a team. And we spent 2 days with Lewis talking through his story and taking him through some spontaneous exercises that we created. And he said, this is the most powerful experience I've ever been through.
Wow.
This is what you were born to do. You were born to help other people tell their story.
My goodness.
And he said, this is your new business.
Yeah.
And we were like, no, this is not our new business.
Oh, so that wasn't the aha.
No,
you and your wife weren't looking at each other going, yes.
No, we weren't at all because this was like days after. It's like
you're still kind of shell-shocked from what happened.
We're like, we don't have a business. Like we don't have a staff. We don't have technology. We don't have a checking account. Like we have nothing. And he said, and we told him, we're like, we don't have an audience. Like everything we have built is gone. He goes, no. He goes, that's okay. He goes, I have an audience. I'm going to have everyone on my show, and you're going to tell everyone that this is what you do now.
You're kidding. What's Lewis's podcast?
It's called the School of Greatness Podcast.
The School of Greatness Podcast.
So check this out. Okay, so we work with Lewis. He's still a client to this day, okay, 7 years later. But over the next 2 years, we work really closely with Lewis. And it had taken him 5 years to go from 0 to 30 million downloads. In the next 2 years that we worked together, he went from 30 million to 500
Come
million
on, that's
downloads.
incredible.
And when he had us on the show, over 1,000 people requested information
about your company.
About our company.
All of a sudden, you had a company.
All of a sudden. And it was just, it's like, there's this lyric in a song. It's not one of your songs. I love your
we
songs.
only allow lyrics to my song.
But it says, you split the sea so I could walk right through it. You drowned my fear in perfect love. And that's what happened was like, we had no plan, but it was like the sea parted. And we're going, all we know is what we've done. And we are being forced.
Wow.
And we're walking through, and there's just noise, like this fear and this terror and this fright of like, what is going to happen? And then God delivers us to this other side. So Brand Builders Group started in 2018. So now we're back up to 50 employees.
Wow.
We hit 8 figures in 5 years, and about half the time we did it with
the
first company.
That's incredible.
And then we've worked with we've worked with some very well-known people. Lewis Howes, our mutual friend, Ed Milet, became a client. Trent Shelton, Jasmine Starr, John Maxwell.
Wow. And these are the incredible frontline thought leaders of today that you're getting to speak into and help them continue to expand their brands.
But coming back to this Larry Winget quote, find your uniqueness and exploit it in the service of others. So what happened was we said, okay, Larry's business was not teaching people how to do that. And so we decided maybe that could be our new business, is helping people find their uniqueness and then teaching them how to exploit it in the service of others, where they can make a living from it, but more importantly, they can make a huge global impact. And that's what's happened. And we have worked with some really massive personal brands, but most of our clients are not the Lewises and the Eds and the John Maxwells or the Eric Thomases. Most of them are everyday entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
They are professional service providers. They're financial advisors, accountants, doctors, lawyers, dentists, chiropractors, maybe direct salespeople,
Yeah.
real estate agents. But what we created a process for was helping somebody identify their uniqueness by learning their story and bottling it up.
And okay, so before we dive into this book, Wealthy and Well Known, just on a personal note, I have to ask you, like, your first book became a New York Times bestseller. Would you encourage anybody listening to this podcast, like, I know we're going to talk about the new book, but you definitely want people to take a journey back, because those books are evergreen, right? Like, there's still great nuggets to take away from Take the Stairs, right? So
Absolutely.
you would endorse people going and picking up that book as well as the new one, right?
Oh, yes, of course. I mean, Take the Stairs is a book about the psychology of overcoming procrastination,
Yeah.
and building self-discipline. And there's actually a really strong intersection between that book and this book. And so, like, one of the things people will say is they'll say, okay, Rory, so, like, what's the secret to building a great personal brand? And the secret is not making this one mistake that everybody makes. So, and this is the intersection point between the two. Okay. So in any market, in any industry, in any vertical, like any geography, there's two different groups of people. There are those who are unknown. They have obscurity. And then there are those who are well-known, right? They have notoriety. And in between the two of them is this huge invisible wall that we call Sheehan's Wall. So I named this after a colleague of mine named Peter Sheehan, who taught me the origin of this concept applied to more of a corporate market. And then we've tailored it to personal brands. But it also has a spiritual application, which we can talk about later. But basically, what people who are unknown tend to do is they look at the people who are well-known, the ones on the other side of the wall, and they say, I want to do what all these people do, right? And so they look at, like, let's just say, like, The Rock. And
Right.
The Rock...
Dwayne The Rock
Johnson, right? And it's like, this guy makes money all these different ways. He owns a football league. He owns a tequila brand. He owns a clothing company. He owns men's facial products.
Yeah.
He's got a production company. He's an actor. And people say, oh, well, I want to have multiple streams of income, so I'll do like The Rock. Or they'll look at other thought leaders, right? And we are Christians. We're hardcore Bible thumping Jesus freaks. But we're technically, Brand Builders Group is a secular business.
Right.
And our work technically is secular.
Sure.
Right? We operate in the secular market. So, we work with thought leaders. Like, good example, this is not a client of ours, but Gary Vaynerchuk. Are you familiar with Gary Vee?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So if you look at Gary Vee talks about all these topics. He talks about sports and music and entertainment and wine and Web3 and crypto. And all these topics, right? And people go, oh, I'm multi-passionate, so I want to talk about a lot of topics.
Right.
And what happens is we end up talking about too many topics to too many different audiences.
Yeah.
On too many different platforms.
I see that.
Trying to monetize in too many different ways. And what happens is, instead of breaking through the wall, we bounce off the wall. And the reason we bounce off the wall is because of something I said in Take the Stairs, which is that if you have diluted focus, you get diluted results. And so the reason why most people aren't breaking through with their personal brand, which, by the way, clearly could be a business.
Sure.
It also could be a nonprofit. It could be a church plant. It's
the application here is wide.
It is, yeah. And we call our audience mission-driven messengers.
I like that.
Right? So they could be all different walks of life. But if you have diluted focus, you get diluted results. Particularly the smaller of a operation you are, the less money you have, the fewer the employees, the more that this principle matters. But even in our spiritual life, right? It's like having this clarity of purpose creates power. And if you think about this wall, okay, analogy, so the Sheehan's Wall. If I'm trying to break through a wall with a sledgehammer and I'm hitting all these different spots on the wall,
right?
Nothing's going to happen to that wall.
I see exactly what you're saying.
But if I hit that same spot over and over again, eventually the paint's going to chip. And then there's going to be a crack, and then a divot, and then a hole, and then finally at one point you'll break through the wall, you crush through it, and then you pull back and the entire wall falls down. That's how the biggest messages in the world are built, whether they are people, their personal brands, but even like Amazon. In the beginning, today they sell everything, but in the beginning they only sold one thing.
And that's how they broke through
That's how they broke through the wall was books. They did one thing. In the beginning, Gary Vaynerchuk talked about one topic, wine, on one platform, YouTube.
That's right.
In the beginning, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson was a wrestler.
That's right.
And so the way that you become well-known is not through doing many things. The way that you become wealthy is not through doing many things.
It's more of a
You
finite
become
focus.
wealthy and well-known by mastering one thing.
Wow.
By finding your uniqueness. From a spiritual perspective, we would say that is finding God's divine design of your identity. Living into the thing that he created you to be so that you can do the thing that only you can do. And if you do that over and over and over, eventually you break through the wall. And once you're on the other side of the wall, you can do just about anything.
Guys, my friends at Simply Earth have started a company that makes it easy to create your own candles, soaps, and more, even for beginners like me. With the Simply Earth recipe box, you can make your own DIY natural products. Emphasis on the word natural, meaning good for you. And yes, I hope to show you some of me making some of these products myself soon. Why try it? Each box delivers pure natural ingredients and simple recipe cards right to your door. So start making natural DIY products while listening to the Matthew S. podcast, of course, each week. Now, they tell me they have over 6,000 5-star reviews, and each month brings a new theme to explore. Plus, check this out. This company, Simply Earth, donates 13% of their profits to help end human trafficking. How amazing is that? So do your part to help end human trafficking and sign up for Simply Earth. Are you ready to get started? Go to simplyearth.com and use code WEST to get a free car diffuser with your subscription. Don't wait. These guys are awesome. You're going to love it. Join the Simply Earth community today. Help end human trafficking. Go to simplyearth.com to get started. And so for Rory Vaden, it was about remembering that moment that lit you up in 6th grade, and that speaker came to your school, and like you started to realize, okay, that like, so in the beginning, that was your one thing, wasn't it?
That's
like,
what
I mean, how many speaking engagements have you done in your career? Like that was that what broke through Sheehan's wall for you?
Yes. I did 304 speaking engagements for free before I ever did a paid one, just during the 2 years that I was in the World Championship of Public Speaking.
Wow.
So I broke through the wall there, and then, it's kind of like in a business perspective, it's really a series of walls, right? Then I became a New York Times bestselling author. Then we built an 8-figure company.
And then it grows.
And it grows and it grows and grows, right?
It gets broader from there. But so how do you encourage somebody to find that one thing that's going to break through the wall?
Yeah. Okay. So this is the question, because this is the part that matters, is to go, okay, how do you find a person's uniqueness? Now, on the one hand, you can go through one of our 2-day experiences with Brand Builders Group. That's how we started as a company.
Which I highly recommend. This is amazing.
We then bottled that up into this book, which, by the way, we're going to give this book away for free to everyone if they just keep listening.
Okay,
in a
awesome.
few minutes, I'll tell them we're there. Like, no kidding, we'll give away the audiobook for free.
Amazing.
So we'll talk about that in a second.
Okay,
great. But if you don't want to invest 2 days with us, and you don't even want to read the whole book, if you just want to go like, okay, is there like, give me the shortcut, like, give me the TikTok version.
Yeah, the Cliff Notes or whatever.
I can tell you, and we didn't know this, Matthew, when we started the company. But we know this now because we've taken several hundred people through the process. So when we started training other strategists, in the beginning was me and AJ, right? And AJ's the co-author of the book. She's the co-founder of Brand Builders Group. And she's actually the CEO of Brand Builders Group.
Nice.
I'm the CMO. So we're 50-50 partners.
Love it.
Once we started bringing on strategists, we had to train our team to be able to identify the uniqueness in other people. And that's when we noticed this pattern. And this is so simple. It's gonna blow your mind. It's easy to overlook, but don't let this slip past. So if you've not been fully paying attention, pay attention to this. Okay. So here's what we figured out. For all of us, you are most powerfully positioned to serve the person you once were.
Your past self.
You're most powerfully positioned to serve the person you once were.
Okay.
So
think through that. That's good.
So for when you go, how do I find my purpose? So the fastest way to find somebody's purpose is to look at their pain.
Wow.
What we do is we ask the questions, what challenges have you conquered? What setbacks have you survived? What tragedies have you triumphed over? Because therein lies your credibility. And there's two parts of this. There's a like a business credibility.
Yeah, sure.
But then again, when we started the company, we didn't realize this, but we firmly believe this now, that there's an intersection between your business credibility and your divine spirituality.
Yeah, I love that.
So from a business perspective, you go, nobody is more credible or qualified to teach someone how to do something than something they've actually done themselves.
That's right.
Right? You go, your credibility doesn't come from how many followers you have.
Right.
It doesn't come from how fancy your degree is. It doesn't come from what your other people say about you or who your network is. Your credibility comes from the fact that you have walked down that path, that you have pushed through that pain, that you've experienced that heartbreaking, destructive challenge in your life.
Yeah.
And now you can teach other people how to do that.
Right.
It's also where your divine spirituality lives, because you go, when you look at, when we experience pain, our first question is often like, why? God, why is this happening to me?
Sure.
Why? What did I do to deserve this?
Yeah.
And it's not that that's the wrong question. I don't pretend to know what the right and wrong questions are to ask. But what I do know for sure is that whatever you're going through is shaping you. It's shaping you and sharpening you and making you and molding you into the very person that God can use one day in the future to help someone else. So I don't know if this is true for sure, because I don't know everything I don't know God's will, but I do know that it's possible that every heartbreak we go through has nothing to do with us. It has to do with Him creating us and making us into the person He needs us to be in the future one day for somebody
else. Which comes back to the whole theme about serving others, right? Because so much of what when you talk about somebody building a brand, it's so much of it can seem self-facing,
like
right?
Self-centered,
right? And even what you're saying about like building on pain and finding purpose from it. It's like, I feel like so many times I'm like, it's like that feeling you get when you're watching an influencer sometimes. It just feels like a house of cards. Like they're kind of building it on this premise of perfection and not of humanity and real life. And so I love that you're starting from this place of like, hey, go to that thing in your life that you've wondered, could there possibly be any value of it? And you're actually saying, no, that's where the value is. And from a spiritual perspective, I mean, this is the hope that God offers to all of us, is that nothing is wasted when we place it in His hands. Even that part of your story, even that chapter you thought, there's no way, I'm going to hide that chapter from everybody because there's no way God could use that. But when you think of your life in the context and from the lens, I love what you said, of in service to others. And sometimes we can all be guilty of forgetting that we're here for a greater why. We're here for a purpose greater than ourselves, because we all love to be the main character in our own story. But man, I mean, what a message of empowerment when we start to think of like, how can I be in service to others? And you might be surprised that God redirects your sights to that painful part of your life. That's incredible.
Yeah. Well, and if you think about, I don't know what the verse is, but there's this encounter in the Gospels where somebody comes to Jesus and he's like, Jesus, there's 617 laws basically in the Old Testament, right? Something like that. I think 617. And he says like, which one is the most important? And Jesus says, oh, it's easy. Just love the God with all your heart, mind, soul, and love your neighbor as yourself. Basically, Jesus boils us all down to love God,
the Lord your God,
and love others.
That's right.
And you go, that is where we find purpose in our life, is those two things. And here's what's amazing for us. So again, we operate predominantly in the secular world. We do have some pastors and people that we work with, but like, we're not a Christian organization. We're an organization led by Christians, right? Mm-hmm. So, but what we've noticed is that even people who are non-Christians, even if they can't get their mind wrapped around loving God because they're just not sure, or they had some church hurt, or like not sure about Jesus and all of this, everybody can unite and see the power in serving others. We all can agree that there is purpose and power in serving other people. And this is the irony of the world today, is like so many people are chasing happiness. And the irony to me is that the more you chase happiness, the more loneliness starts to show up. At least in my own life, it's like when you chase happiness, you're chasing a feeling, which those feelings tend to lead you towards vanity, indulgences, temptations, addictions. And so what we have found is that if you chase service, happiness shows up as a byproduct.
Which is why I would guess, like I was going to ask you earlier, like how does it feel to know that your book is a New York Times bestseller? But I think I might know the answer, because if it's anything like how it feels to be told, hey, congratulations, you have the #1 song in the country, there's that feeling of elation, maybe a feeling of accomplishment. But then I guarantee you, the minute that song goes from #1 back down to #2, there's a little bit of a letdown, or what if it could have stayed up there for long, right? And these are the things, but yet at the same time, tell me how it feels when someone sends you an email or sends your company a message and says, and I'm reading quotes from what people have said about how you've impacted their lives. When you get that message versus when you get the message that your book is a bestseller, I mean, that's because the happiness you find there is on a different level, because it was the proof that you were in service to others. There's no comparison. When somebody calls me, or when I get a message on social media or an email that says, hey, I had a kid come up to me and say, in New York City, she came up to me and she had tears in her eyes and she said, I was at your concert a few years ago, and when you prayed, I asked Jesus into my heart.
Amen.
And I'll tell you what, you know how many times I focus on the wrong thing because I think how many tickets I sold is going to be the key to happiness. But then there's a girl in the crowd who's praying, dear Jesus, come into my heart. That was a reminder, oh, Matthew, snap out of it. You're here to be in service to others. That's the good stuff.
Absolutely. And you go, you're not going to remember. I mean, like how many trophies you have and like that. What gives you meaning is that time where you go, someone said, you changed my life.
That's good, Rory.
Like that song changed my life.
Right.
The same is true about a book. The same is true about like a business.
Yeah.
Is going, I think we need to look at our scoreboard, right? Like, is our scoreboard money? Is our scoreboard followers? Is our scoreboard charts? Because if that's our scoreboard, we're going to be left, ironically, feeling empty no matter how great the score is.
No doubt.
Like I have 7, this is crazy. I have 7 private clients of mine who are billionaires with a B.
Wow.
Right? I'm around some people with some serious dough. Like you can buy islands and jets and not even feel it.
My goodness.
And you go, some of them are miserable. Right. Some of them are super happy because the scoreboard is not money. The scoreboard is impact, right? The scoreboard is not income. The scoreboard is impact.
That's good.
There's nothing like the feeling you get when you impact somebody's life.
Yeah.
And you go, why? Because you're living God's purpose. Like he's working through you to serve somebody else.
Yeah.
And what's crazy, of course, at Brand Builders Group, we've realized, whoa, you can actually make a business out of doing this. You can make your life you can be radically surrendered to the service of others and make a great impact and make lots of money, right? Like I would purport to go like, okay, when Matthew's on stage, how many people are in the audience and those scoreboards, okay, those are fun games to play, etc. But to go, if you never have the courage to write that song, Matthew, and you never have the courage to step out and go, I think God's given me a gift here, that girl maybe never gets saved. And so if you're building your personal brand out of self-centeredness, you're doing it wrong.
Right. That's good.
A great personal brand isn't self-centered, it's service-centered. The scoreboard isn't what things have I accumulated, it's how many people have I helped. It's not about vanity, it's about humanity. And yet, I think, and I know I'm going to make some people mad with this. I know you're going to get hate comments for what I'm about to say.
I'm ready for it.
Okay.
I'm ready.
I think sometimes Christians allow fear to mask as humility. They like to say, oh, I don't want it to be about me, so I'm not going to step out.
Right.
And they're scared. And they mask that fear with humility. And you go, this isn't about you, right? Moses was scared to go talk to Pharaoh, right? Like Paul was not great in front of an audience.
Yeah.
This is about going, if God has put a calling on your heart, if he has put a message inside of you, and that message needs to get out, it's your duty. It is your obligation, both to our Creator and to the other people that he created, to live that out. There's someone who can start the world's biggest church, and yet they're scared that no one will show up and that it won't be good, and they're masking it as humility. There's somebody who can write a book that will literally change the world and change lives and bring people to Jesus, but they're scared that they won't get the publishing deal or no one will pay attention, and they're masking it as humility. And you really got to do a gut check about this. Similarly, you have to do a gut check where you go, man, if I want to have the number one song, or I want to be a New York Times bestselling author, I want to be a Hall of Fame speaker, I don't think those things are terrible.
Right.
I think those things are fine. I think they make good goals. They just make terrible idols.
Yeah.
And so we have to check ourselves, and you go, how do I know if I'm operating in the right place?
Yeah.
And Scripture to me gives us the answer here. So there's a verse. Again, I'm not a Bible scholar, but I think it's Colossians 3:23 that says, "Do your work unto the Lord and not unto earthly masters." Something to that effect. I think that's the verse.
Where's my Bible?
Yeah, pull up the Bible. So we should quote it accurately.
Well, I got my phone. Let's look it up.
Okay,
let's look it up real quick.
So
wait, my phone's off. Will you grab me my Bible, somebody?
Here, I got my
there
my
you
Bible.
go.
I got my Bible.
Colossians 3:23. I should know it by heart. I'm being humbled right here.
Yeah, and I think that's the right verse. I don't know if that's the exact right words, but it's something to this effect. Okay, I got it. Hold on here. Colossians 3:23.
Let's see.
This is it. Okay, so whatever you do, work at it with all your heart as working for the Lord, not for human masters.
Yes.
Okay?
Come on, that'll preach.
That'll preach, right? So, okay. So here's the thing that I started struggling with a couple years ago. How do I know if I'm really working unto the Lord, or if I'm really working unto earthly masters or for earthly rewards? And I go, how do I know if, because either way, you should be doing great work, right? You have to do great work to win a Grammy, win a Dove Award.
Sure.
Like, you have to do great work to become a best-selling author, Hall of Fame speaker. But also, if you're working for your Creator, that should also be great work. It should be bold, right? It should be powerful. It should be big.
Yeah, it shouldn't be less than.
No. So you go, how do I know which one I'm doing it for? And the only answer that I've been able to come up with is to say, every day I have to pray, God, let my work be for you. And the only way to know is I have to recommit it every single day.
That's the truth.
It's the only way
I feel that 100%. Because, I mean, we're all susceptible to our motives getting all out of whack. I mean, you talked about like people having fear and masking it as humility. I think sometimes, like for me, I am in the faith space day in and day out, and I'm just as susceptible every single day of like my motives being wrong. It's like, how can I'm writing this song about my faith in Christ, and I'm like obsessing over if it's going to do well on the radio or not. It's like, what am I doing? You know what I mean? But Lord, forgive me.
But here's one of the things that you can tell. You can really tell the posture of a person's heart by how hard they keep pushing after they achieve the worldly goals. Right? Like, what? I don't remember.
That's good.
The first time that I heard a Matthew West song on the radio was probably more, right? I love you more than the sun. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what age I was.
Well, that's an oldie now. We call that.
But here you are. You have the awards. You have the house. You have the family. You've got the relationships. You have the network. And you're still writing songs, right? You've had number one. I'm surrounded. You've got trophies. You've got plaques. You've got. Why are you doing it? You're still going because you're committed to reaching people with your stories, because you still know there's people out there that you can reach.
That's right.
That's how you know that it's in service, is to go, if you look at what is our drive, Our drive can come from competition, right? Like I want to beat somebody else.
Right.
That can be powerful, right? There's power to competition.
Yeah, sure.
But like as you get older, competition tends to wear off. It's
that's going to run out.
It runs out. Then you have ambition, which is the self-centered pursuit. Honestly, a lot of my drive early on, it came from the fact that I was poor growing up. I was born to a single mom. My mom was divorced twice and had 2 kids by the time she was 23.
Okay.
And we didn't have much. She was an amazing mom. She loved us, and we had the Lord, but we didn't have much.
Wow.
When I was first born, we lived in a trailer, and like we moved a lot. We had great people in our life, but like I wanted Air Jordans. Like that's where my drive came from. It was like I wanted Air Jordans because I grew up with Air Jordache.
Yeah,
I don't know if y'all remember famous footwear, but like that's where we were jamming.
Yeah.
I wanted cereal that came in a box instead of a bag.
Yeah, so you had ambition.
I had ambition, but then you get to a certain level of achievement, and ambition starts to run out.
Wow.
There's only so many trophies you can have before it's like it's not the thing. So you go, where should our drive come from? If it's not competition and it's not ambition, what I would suggest is it's mission. Mission never runs out.
That's awesome.
When I'm operating in mission, and here's what's amazing about it. When you're operating out of mission, you both can be immediately satiated. Like if I change one life, I have immediate gratification. And I go like, all the podcasts that I create and that you create, all the work that we do for books and all the speeches that I give, I go, it's worth it if it helps one person.
Yeah.
Right? So I have this immediate sense of like, I did it and I mattered if it's one person, and simultaneously a healthy, like, I'll never be done. I'll never be finished.
I feel that exact way. It's funny, like my wife had said something to me recently. We were on a walk and we were in Florida, and she's like, could you see yourself like retiring here? And I was like, it sounded so foreign to me. Like even the word retirement, I was just like, I just feel like I'm on mission to the point where retirement's never even occurred to me. You know what I mean? So I love that. And being on mission is the goal. I've heard, I was at an event with a friend of ours, John Gordon.
Yeah. And
he had Tim Tebow at the event as well. And Tim said something like, he stood up, it was like a Q&A thing. And he's like, all I know is that I want to get to heaven totally and completely exhausted. And I was like, yeah, it made me want to run through Sheehan's wall.
Yeah, exactly.
But I loved that thought of like, when you're on mission, like there is no clocking out, and you have you might, like the Bible talks about not growing weary and well-doing. Doesn't mean you're not going to get tired or weak. But I loved that idea of like, when you're on mission, when you're pursuing the right things for the right reasons, you're going to find a source of strength greater than your own that's going to continue to give you that. And I love that you shared that element of your own childhood and your own story, because like I think when I think about a book like this, Wealthy and Well Known, your latest book, which you're going to give everybody an opportunity to get.
Oh, we should
we have to talk about that.
Should we give it to him?
Yeah, I was just going to say, like, this is not a house of cards kind of thing. Like when people are going on social media and going, can I believe this guy? What's really behind? You watch it, like I think about the Liver King right now. I don't know if you follow, but it's like, oh my gosh, like the guy's all about eating healthy. And then you find out, oh, he's been pumping steroids the whole time. Right. So, and no offense to the Liver King, but there's just a lot of that where it's like, it's all a front. And yet I'm hearing you talk about this, and you're talking about this book, helping people find their uniqueness and their why, but you've come from defeat. You come from building a company and then being walked out the doors. You've come from a difficult childhood where you had to overcome. And like, these are like, this is tried and true. It's tested by your own life story. And there's mission that comes from those sources of pain in your life. So for people to go like, that always helps me when I'm picking up a book, when I'm listening to what somebody says, like, that's why I always lead with my own story to go like, here's how I've screwed up. Here's the struggles I've had. Here's like, because that's in what you're saying, where we're going to find the mission. So all that to say is, like, when I think about this book, I looked at the title at first. I said, okay, I wonder exactly who this book is for. But the more you've shared today, I'm like, everybody can get something out of this book, because we're all trying to figure out, okay, how am I uniquely wired? God, what on earth am I on earth for? Mm-hmm. Right? So you've I don't know how you're affording to do this, but tell me how you're going to let people who are listening to the podcast get this book.
Yes. So we're going to give you the audiobook for free. So if you go to freebrandAudiobook.com/West.
Free brand, and we'll put this on the screen and in the liner notes.
Okay.
We'll put a link.
freebrandAudiobook.com/West, your last name, right? From Matthew West. So we want to, it's for your audience. They can download
the audiobook,
the entire audiobook for free,
which
for lifetime.
I'm an audiobook guy. No offense to the hardcover. I try, and I have good intentions, and I'll make notes. But then when I go on my walk or my run, I'm listening to the audiobook. So I love that you're giving this. Say it one more time.
freebrandAudiobook.com/West.
Okay, freebrandAudiobook.com/West, my last name, and you're going to be able to get the audiobook for free.
You get the audiobook for free.
Amazing.
So, and thanks for what you said, Matthew. And I mean, I'll tell you, like, this book is about service-centeredness, and one reason why is because most of my life was self-centeredness. Like, most of me is living my life the wrong way. Like, it's living for me. And you go, if there's any substance to what we're doing, it's only because, like, I've just gotten to a place in life where I'm like, Jesus is my only strategy.
Yeah.
For everything.
Yeah.
Right? It's like I'm going like, what happens if there's a nuclear war? Okay, Jesus is my only strategy.
Yeah.
What happens if AI takes over?
Oh gosh,
like, Jesus is my only
I
strategy.
know.
Like what if there's a tornado? Like you quickly realize that you go like, I don't really have much power to do anything.
Yeah.
And so, we can talk about wealthy and well-known is a little bit deliberately misleading. So we led with a very worldly title.
Yes.
And in the epilogue, we talk about what wealthy and well-known really means. We redefine it, so we can talk about that later.
I love that, man.
But it's
and Jesus is your only strategy. I love that. That's a title of the book too. There's the next book. Jesus is my only strategy. I love that.
Yeah, I mean it's.
So how do you tell me how you redefined wealthy and well known in the book?
Okay, let's talk about it. So it's actually in the epilogue.
Yeah, let's close out with that. I want to hear that.
Fast forward to the epilogue here. So, I shared a little bit about my personal story, right? So I grew up with very little money. Right, we had love, and I was always like, I had an amazing childhood, but we were poor, and so I grew up thinking that wealth was an abundance of money, and so I set out to achieve money, right, and I was super ambitious. I was like valedictorian and magna cum laude, and started a business in my 20s, and we exited this business and an 8-figure business, and AJ and I have built 6 different multi 7-figure businesses and 2 8-figure businesses.
Incredible.
And so it was just like, okay, wealth's about money, and then you get there and you're like, oh no, I'm not at ease.
Yeah.
And so then I'm like, oh, that's because I'm so busy. What real wealth is an abundance of time. And so then there was like this evolution that was like, wealth is an abundance of time. Like if you're really wealthy, it's because you have time. And then that became a problem because we saw all of our friends who were entrepreneurs that would sell their company for millions of dollars, and then they would be massively, massively depressed because they have so much time. And then it occurred to me that's going, oh, our lives have meaning only in the context of other people.
Yeah.
So if I have all this time to myself, that's not a meaningful life.
Right.
My life has purpose when I'm serving others. And so I was like, okay, so wealth is not an abundance of money. Wealth is not an abundance of time. Today, I believe that wealth is simply an abundance of peace. I believe that peace is the new profit. And I think it's no accident that Jesus says, my peace I give you, my peace I leave you. Now, in order to have peace, you need maybe some financial stability. You need some relationships. You need, some purpose. But most of all, you need the groundedness of Christ. And the irony is that peace is like wealth is available to all of us in any given moment without doing anything else, just by what Jesus did for us.
Yeah.
That's true wealth.
I feel peace just in being reminded by that.
And being well known, right? So when we talk about being well known, it's like well known as being known by your creator.
Yeah.
Is realizing that you don't need the whole world to know about you.
I love that.
You're already well known by the one who created you. And because he created you to do good works.
Yeah.
Not to earn his love, but from his love. And to go, the reason this stuff matters is to go, whatever talent, skills, ability, uniqueness that God has given me, I want to go out and use it in the service of others.
Yeah.
One is to help them, but two is because what other more powerful testimony is there for people than to experience the love of Christ through another person and going, I give to you in the name of the Lord. I'm here. Jesus is my only strategy. Like, you want to know what I'm really about. And so that's why, AJ and I, again, it's not a Christian company. We're a secular business. We teach people how to make money. But money is subservient to mission. Income is subservient to impact. Revenue is subservient to reputation. But you go, we're hardcore Bible thumping Jesus freaks, and we put it out there because we want people to know that Jesus really is our only strategy, because anything less than that would just be disingenuous.
I love that. Rory Vaden, he's one of the greatest speakers in the world, and you've just proven that today. I was so excited to have you on the show to share your story, to share your why, but I'm just excited about the books you've written over the years and this latest book, Wealthy and Well Known, which the guy is not going to get wealthy by giving the book to you, but he's already agreed to do that. Which, can we say the link one more time, and we're going to post it in the liner notes. I hope everybody will take Rory up on this generous offer.
Yes, yeah. So audiobook is freebrandAudiobook.com/West.
And you can pick up, and then you can also pick up a hardcover, because I do like to read the actual book too. And where should people go to find out more about brand builders and pick up a copy of the book online?
Honestly, if you have any desire to be connected to us, just go download the audiobook, and from there,
that's the way to do it.
Yeah, we'll tell you about where you can find other stuff. But I one last thing I would just leave everybody with, Matthew, is if you're listening to this and you somehow feel this calling on your heart that, like, I feel like I have a message to share. I feel like I'm supposed to do something big for God. I feel something inside of me that is trying to get out. We really believe that the calling on your heart is the result of a signal that's being sent out by somebody else. And that person actually needs you way more than you need them. Right? Like, for you, this is like, maybe a fun side hustle or a little nonprofit you're going to start, or maybe like a book, like a legacy project. But for them, they literally are seeking and searching. They are begging and pleading and quite possibly, like quite literally, on their hands and knees, praying for answers to questions that you know like the back of your hand. And the only reason you wouldn't go answer that call is because you're scared. You're scared that you won't say the right thing. You're scared that you won't be the right thing. You're scared that someone else already did it better than you. You're scared that it won't work out. But what we've discovered is that fear is such a self-centered concept. You only feel fear when you're thinking about yourself. But there is no fear when the mission to serve becomes clear. The moment you start thinking about other people, right? If there's a car turned over and you hear somebody screaming for help, you go. You're not thinking, how does my hair look? Like, is my outfit cute?
That's
right.
right.
Does my breath stink?
Yeah.
Like, all of that disappears.
Yeah, what matters becomes very clear.
You're serving people.
Yeah, that's good.
And so,
what a great illustration.
There is no fear when the mission to serve is clear. Love God, serve others. And even if you're not on board with the Christian thing, like, if you can't, just go serve others. And I promise happiness and fulfillment and joy and wealth all shows up as a byproduct.
Good, Rory. The only thing I keep thinking in my mind as you're talking is to look at the camera and say, so what are you waiting for? One of the things I always try to encourage people who are listening to the podcast, and in the form of a song that I sing, is, a song called What If. It says, what if today's the only day I got?
Yes.
I don't want to waste it if it's my last shot. No regrets in the end. I want to know I got no what ifs. And everything you're saying is firing me up to go, okay, I'm on mission. I want to serve others. And I just thank you so much for sharing your story, for sharing your why, and for helping other people step past the reasons why not to, and the fears that they may have, and to step into that fullness of their mission. And in that mission, they're going to find their why in serving others, and they're going to find a peace that passes all understanding. So great reminders today. Congrats on the new book. I know many more to come, and congrats on all your success. Thanks for pouring into other people and pouring into our listeners today.
Thanks for having me, brother. I'm now that we're past this, I'll go ahead and share that I've been fangirling on you the whole time. I'm a huge Matthew West fan. So thanks for your work
dude.
And living in your uniqueness. I appreciate you having me.
You're awesome, man. Thank you. Hey, that's our show for today. I want to thank my guest, Rory Vaden. Be sure to take him up on his invitation for you to get a free audiobook copy of his brand new book, Wealthy and Well Known. Go check it out today. We've posted the link in the liner notes. We also included it in this episode. He mentioned it a few times. Go check that out, all right? And thanks for listening today. I hope you were able to take some inspiration away from that. God has uniquely created you and designed you, and he's authoring a story that there's only one like it, and it's yours. And so it's up to you and me to step fully into the story that he's writing with our lives and make the most of the one shot we get. It's your story for his glory. See you next week.